welcome to our short video on boat maintenance and getting back to going on the water. My name's Kerry, I'm a powerboat trainer at Swansea Water Sports. We're going to look at basic maintenance on our trailer, make sure our engine's running properly, and then just checking over some of our equipment before we leave our house. So first job on the list is to check our wheel bearings. I've already jacked up the trolley jack here, and I'm just going to give a bit of a pull back and forward to see if there's any play in there, and give it a bit of a spin to see if I can hear any noise, any grumbling coming from there. I know this one's right because we've already changed the bearings. We've got a grease nipple on the end of the cap here, so we've pumped it full of grease to make sure that the bearings are all good. And we've done the same on the other side. Okay, so we've checked the wheel bearings. Next important thing is nobody wants 3 points on their license because you haven't got a correct working number plate. So what I've done here is, because we've got Sam on the camera and he can't tell me what lights are working, I've plugged it into the back. I've got it laid over on the side there, and I can now just check the lights. So left hand indicator, right hand indicator, side lights are good, brake lights. One of the things that always gripes me is that not having a nice free moving winch. So I would just put some oil in this by purely, it says I can't release it, just releasing the winch. And then just as I'm winding it up, just give it a couple of squirts of oil, make sure it's all nice and working. Do the same with the jockey wheel here and the jockey wheel handle, so that's all nice and good. And I'd also put some oil on the hitch so I know that's working. I'll double check that when I hitch up to the truck a little bit later on. I'm going to run the engine up next, but if your boat's been sat all winter and it's the middle of the summer and you still haven't used it and you're desperate to get on the water, we're going to check the oil, we're going to run the engine up and check our fuel. So dipstick on this particular model is just in there. I'm going to pull out, check the oil, it looks nice and clean, there's no debris in there. I'm going to put it in, pull it back out, and that's on the button. Lovely. Okay, something you might not be able to see, but I'll ask Sam to come a bit closer. If you have a look at the engine, you can see it's quite shiny and it almost has a grease film on it. So this here, we tend to spray it with WD-40 every now and again, just to keep all the condensation and the damp off the engine. It stops rust, it keeps everything nice and fresh. Mechanics love it because then they haven't got to work with rusty nuts and bolts. Cool. Okay, so one of the biggest problems you might have after the boat sitting for a length of time is bad fuel. Fuel will lose its octane level or go off, if you want to put it that way. So if you've had half a tank and it's been sitting in there since last year, I would dispose of that properly and put fresh fuel in. If you've kept your fuel levels high all winter, that would have stopped the condensation and hopefully you won't have a problem. I'd always recommend having a fuel filter somewhere in the system. So if you want to have a look at this, we've got our fuel tank there, it's strapped down. This is a self-venting, so just a twist of that will allow me to vent. I've double checked my fit in there, which is secure. It goes under the deck and then back up into the engine. You see we've got the engine muffs on, we've got water coming through. I'm now just going to start the engine. So I'm going to just turn it on, wait for my beep to go off, and then I'm going to turn the ignition on. The engine's running. I'm now going to check for a telltale. So if you go back to the side. Many accidents happen because people don't, so I want to make sure it's working. Engine's been running for a while now and it's ticking over nicely. We've got good coolant. The one last thing I'm going to check is that my kill code works. We don't want to rely on that, and if it doesn't work, we need to get it fixed. controlling that. Hear the engine stopping. I'm happy that that works. Turn the ignition off. Take the kill cover off. Okay, so we've checked our engine. Hopefully that'll keep us going. But if something does go wrong, we need to make sure that our anchor is all up and running and working. So here we have, it's a folding anchor. This one's a 4 kilogram, and what we particularly like and what we do on all of our boats is we attach our anchor chain to the tripping eye point, run it back along the shank of the anchor and cable tie it at the end there. It's only a small cable tie, but the reason being that if it does get stuck, then a good pull is going to snap that cable tie, and I'm pulling up from this end. So on this is then 43 meters of rope and 7 meters of chain, so we've got 50 meters in total, and that's generally oversized chain and generally a good amount of rope to hold a boat of this size. So if something does go wrong, this is my primary means then of safety until I can work out if I can paddle against the current or if I have to stay and wait for the emergency services. In here is also a spare anchor, exactly the same size, same length, same chain, and it's all set up ready to go. So if anything does go wrong, my first point would be to drop anchor, make everything safe, assess the situation, and then wait for help or deal with it ourselves. This video is not a definitive list and should not be relied on. This is just merely what we do to our boats to try and keep them seaworthy and the trailers roadworthy. Thank you very much for tuning in.